Okay, here's the video. What did I do? Hate when I do that. Okay, so basically I found out your issue, what was going on. It would have been a mod that you had that fixed that problem, and then you don't use the mod, so now it don't happen. So I'm going to go through here and I'm going to show you how to fix it yourself. Uh, Now there's some things, when you start programming like this is the best way if you ask me to program. That mod loader system is too easy, hackable and stuff, and I can get in a big argument with a lot of people that love and rave over that stuff because, well, you know. And then there's people like me who sit on the side and say, you know, we don't like that injection system, it's too easy to hack and stuff like that, so we prefer to do this until there's an API. Alrighty, so basically, let's just do this first. First things first is to create your project. So we can create a project. And we'll use Java, have Java selected, make sure you get the latest version of Java. And then we go next, next. When we give it a name, we can say Worm Unlimited. Yeah, we can say 1.3.1.3, and we can just give it a name, and we can click finish, and we're going to put this in a new window for now. And once you have this done, you have your project. So first things that we need to do is we need to get our source information over here. So we can go over here and let me open up a new window here. And what I'm going to do is right here, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to open up where I have my standalone server client at. And I'm going to grab the server.jar, the common.jar, and the libraries folder. And I'm going to copy these. Then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to paste them in to my project. Click OK. And wait for them to get put in. Now once they get put in, you don't have to worry about Steam server ini.jar, but the rest of these jars you want to have them. So we'll select all these jars right here. We don't need the text. We want to select the common.jar, the server.jar, and then we're going to right click and we're going to say add these as a library. So right now it's going to add all this as a library, so when we start writing the code, see, we actually can open these now and see what's inside of them. Before they were locked and we couldn't see any of the information inside, but now we can. We need the libraries folder because the libraries folder has information that's been changed from the original Java libraries, additional information that the common and the server jar need. So we can now open this up, go to our server, and we can go down here. And first things first, I want to talk to you about the log files on the database so you can see what's going on. So we need to go to creatures and we need to open up the creatures.class. So once we open up the creatures.class, we can see what's going on in here. Now we can't change this class. We have to create a class that we can alter. These are readable only and we can't do anything with it. So first thing you want to do is in IntelliJ you want to do this right here because that I'm about to show you, because if you do not add this to part of it and you just make a new class file, it don't know to look in com/wormonlineserver.creatures for this class. So what we want to do is we want to copy this line right here, and you know, we need to copy the package line, and then we go over here and we right click on source and we go create new Java class. We paste that in there and then we say dot, and then we have to add the class file, which is creatures. So capital C creatures, and when we get done with that we can click OK. Now this is going to create a new file called creatures in a Java format so that we can change. So we're going to basically, we don't need anything that it puts in here. We can get rid of all this, but I like to keep this comment in here because this says that I created this on this date. So I always keep that. You don't have to. When we're done, we want to go back to our creatures class. we want to go Control A to select everything in that class, Control C to copy, then we can go back to ours that we just created and we can Control V and paste all that in. Once it pastes it in, we will get some errors. IntelliJ, a lot of times if something's been typecasted, it will not put it in there, and we have to go in and tell it that that was typecasted. And IntelliJ is good about telling you or allowing you to fix it. Like for example, this right here needed to be typecasted. As you can see right here, get roll for status, it is a byte. It's looking for a piece of byte code, and it says in village cannot be applied to an int, and so we have to tell this that it's a byte. Now we can either, we can put our enclosed brackets and type byte inside beside the 3, or we can simply go over here and look for this. Now this right here is a little thing and a helper, and you can left click on it, and this normally will give you options that you can do to fix this. Now it's saying cast parameter to byte, so we cast it, automatically fixed it. Then we got one more red problem down here, which is on this line, as you can see, and we can right click this and it wants to cast the 8th parameter to a byte, which is this one back here, so we can go ahead and say go ahead and cast it as a byte. Now you see our red squigglies have went away. We can close the original, and we have this version that we can alter now. Now we can go to, we can hit Control F for a search, look for add creatures, and basically this is what we're looking for right here, the add creatures. So this is the one where when a creature is added, you want a log file being put to your server log to tell you every time one spawns, and you can ask it for certain informations when it spawns as well. So in here under when it's asking you, basically it's like if this creature dot is dead is false. That's what the exclamation point means. Means if it's not true. So it's saying if creature dot is dead is not true, then I want you to try this right here. Or if creature is not offline is if it's not an offline creature and it's not true, then do this right here. And it's saying if creature is not floating, and if creature is not a monster and creature is not aggressive to humans, then plus this dot nice, this number of nice, meaning a nice creature, a bull, a cow, something like that, a chicken, something that's not aggressive, that won't just attack people. Else we're going to plus up the number of aggressive, and then down here you got number of typed. If creature.getStatus.mod type is greater than 0, then plus this dot number of type. And to find out the types, you can go into creature types right here. These are the types, and the mod, which is these, if it's 0 means none. So that's why it said right here, if mod type is greater than 0, then plus this mod type, which is these right here, which is the fears, the aging, raging, slow, alert, that type. And then if creature is aggressive to whitey, or creature is defend the kingdom, then plus up the kingdom creature. If creature is floating, if creature .get template ID equals 70, which is the sea serpent, which it's floating in the water. That's why it's asking if it is floating, then plus up the sea monster, else plus up the sea hunter. And the sea hunter is the other fish that were added, the dolphin, shark, whale, stuff like that, octopus, that's the sea hunters. The sea monster is the sea creature, the sea serpent. But anyway, you can put a tag behind these, and as you can see down here, there's even an example right here where it says if send to world, if loading and NSP is greater than 2, and if creature is not a horse and creature is not on service, blah blah blah. Do this right here. Then it says log.logger level info, and basically this is telling you log this to the info screen. So it tells you to say destroying this creature name, whatever it is. It could be cow, so it'll read out destroying cow, and then it'll say it'll get to worm ID, so it'll give you that creature's worm ID that was generated, and then it says at cave. So you would be seeing stuff like destroying cow 4478 at cave 2048 Y position 2048 overcrowded, which would be the reason why mine is overcrowded. And then it says plus destroy cave creature. So basically it's just saying, you know, destroy it, and it'll print this out on the screen when it does. Well, you can do the same thing up here. We can go in here, and I'm lazy on typing, so I'm just going to go ahead and grab this first piece of information because I don't like to type as much as I have to, and I'm going to paste it right here. Now right here we need to finish this up, so we need to enclose this like so, and basically we got, information to put in here. So if I wanted to, I could just put in a string and it would be done. I can just type something to show on the screen every time a nice creature spawns. But maybe I don't want a string. Maybe I just want a piece of information. So maybe I want it to say, first of all, give me the worm ID. So basically we'd say creature dot get worm ID, and have it give me the worm ID of the creature. Then I can say plus I want more information, so let me put in an empty string with a space between it, so it will give me space between this, because you don't want the numbers to be bunched up, so you at least put a space in it. You can use strings to do that. So we're going to add another piece of information, and let's say I want to now I want it to give me the name, so I can say creature dot get name, so to give me the name of the creature, and I can leave it at that, and when every time a mob spawns, it'll tell me the ID and the creature's name that just spawned. Now if I want X and Y coordinates, I can have that done. All I got to do is just add another plus statement in here, and I'll just do that to put another space between it, and just to make my code look neater. Maybe I want to find out how many creatures are on the map, how many nice creatures there are. Let's just say I want to also get the number of how many total nice creatures are on the map when it spawns this one, and it adds it to it. So I can say get number of creatures, but that would be all creatures. I can get number of creatures in database, which would be all those creatures. But what I want to do is get number of nice, so I can go down here and I can say get me the number of nice, and it'll also behind there it'll print out the number of nice creatures. Then if I want to go even more, I can say after that I also want it to, I want to print out also, I want to get the number of creatures in the database total now. So I can say that, and basically right here first it's going to go right here and it's going to say give me the worm ID, then it's going to print the creature's name of that worm ID, then it's going to print the total number of nice in the server, then here it'll print the total number of all mobs in the database. And that's basically, you can just keep adding to this, you know, and you know, whatever information you want it to report, you can log it right here anytime this mob spawns, whatever, you know, information you want it to spawn or tell you. It can sit down. I mean, we can even sit down and say also want to add yeah, come on fingers, let's just say what else we got in here. We can get any type of information that is available to us in the creature class. Excuse me. Let's see. Maybe I don't want that. Maybe I want to go into the creatures class and say I want to get something else. Let's see, what would be something good to get? I can tell it to give me the armor type, and it'll tell me the armor type. Get attackers. Let's see. I can get what information I want printed to the screen in this log file. So let's see. I should be able to get sex in here. Let's see, where's it at? Yep, get sex. So I can tell it, get me the sex. So it'll also print out what sex that creature is, whether it's male or female. It can tell me that when it spawns it in. You know, whatever information I want, I can put in this log file, and in the log viewer, it'll print that information out. And I can do this for everyone. And if you look at my creature class, and we'll go to mine, and I'll show you my creature class. Let's go to add creatures on mine so you can see. I'm in the right class. Let me just, there we go, find it real quick. As you can see on mine, I'm just asking for the worm ID for the mob that just spawned, and I say, okay, number of nice, and it gives me the, and tell it to print out the number of nice, and I'll say total in database, and give me the number of creatures, and then I'll say name, give me the name. And I could add whatever I want to it, and it'll print it. And as you can see, I put it up under each type of creature that can spawn the same information I want to be reported. So every time one reports, it gives me that information for each one that gets spawned on the map. And then you want to go down here to where it says, did I pass it? I must have, yeah, delete creature. So when it deletes a creature and you want it to let you know when a creature is being deleted, you can add that information as well here. You can get whatever information you want whenever the creature is deleted, so you can better find out what's going on your server. For example, it's like, let me go to the other class, the other one, and let me go down here to delete, and I can go in here and I can say logger info, and in here I can say and it just depends where you want to get the information, where you got to look. So let me go back to creature dot, and let's see, do we have in here that would make sense to want to report to us? You only want to really call information that's important to you, that you want to find out. So basically, you know, whatever you're trying to find. I mean, it wouldn't be pregnant when it spawns, so you wouldn't want to find stuff out like that. But there's different types of information we can get. We can get whatever information we want out of it. Just, you know, or we can just, whatever's in this file here, we can just type in get, and we can get this information. But yeah, it's, you know, it's that simple. Let's see, number of nice. So let's just get number of nice, and just give it an empty string at the end. But that's the message we want to put out. You know, we want to give it a message and tell it to type this out right here. Give me this information. And that's all you got to do for the logger. Now for your creature problem, what you need to do there is you need to do the same thing when we made this creature class. Is basically you're going to go to the creature template creator, and this is what you'll need to do. Again, copy the package. I'm lazy, so I'm going to put this in Notepad, and we'll paste that because I hate to type this stuff out. I'm going to copy that. Let me open up Notepad again, paste that there, and then I'm just going to grab all that. So basically we copy the package, we put dot, and then we put the class name behind it. We do all that. Then we go over here to our class, to our source folder. We say new Java class, type that in, click OK. And you're going to have to go through this the first time. So let's copy all this. And for the first time when you go through these files, you have to fix some problems you're going to have, and you're going to find out right here because I'm going to show it to you. Okay, at the bottom of the list, we're going to have all these red squigglies on every mob as you see, and it's generating because it's missing byte and short under certain pieces of information right here. One thing you can do so you ain't got to keep scrolling to the right, you can go up to View, you can go down to Active Editor and click Use Soft Wrap. This right here will soft wrap everything in the screen so you don't have to scroll to the right. Now in settings you can make this automatic where it does everything soft wrap, but some things you're not going to want soft wrap, so I normally just leave it default and then use soft wrap whenever I need it. Now right here, as you can see, IntelliJ gives you the reasons why. When you hover over this and you see all these arrows, it gives you reasons why it's coming up, and that's the ones in red. See, these things need to be typecasted as a short, a byte, but it didn't typecast it whenever it compiled it in, you know, it didn't do that. So you're missing this information. Therefore, you're not going to see it. And basically you need to add byte and short where it needs to be put at. And I'm going to check something out here for a minute. Just give me 1 second here. I got something on another screen. And just give me 1 second here. I don't mean to take up all your time, but I want to try to be as thorough as possible when I do this. And okay. Some decompilers don't do that. For example, you can see Eclipse. It doesn't come up with that issue. But IntelliJ is funny. And I'm not very familiar with IntelliJ. There's still a lot I got to learn about IntelliJ and its decompiling and stuff like that. And I've not went and researched it or anything, but you might want to do that. There might be a fix that it can decompile this and put the shorts where they need to go into the bytes, and you not have to go through and do all this. But for the time being, I go ahead and do it. Most of mine's done on files that I alter. Basically, what I do here is I go back in here, and it says, for example, get the screen to pop up, just hover over it. It says material at the very bottom there. It says meat material byte 80, which is an int. It needs to be casted as a byte. So right here is what it's talking about, right there. So what we need to do is we need to typecast it as a byte, and now that right there, as you see, the red line went away. That's now fine. IntelliJ says, okay, that's the way you can do it. So what you can do is you can go through here now and just copy that, so you ain't got to keep typing it every time. Just find out what you need to turn to a byte. So we need to turn, right after types, we need to turn body type into a byte and sex into a byte. So that would be this piece right here, and that would be this one right here. So now if those are bytes, we go back in here. Now it's saying we need the shorts. The shorts would be these right here. So we'll go back in here and we'll say short. And now that one's done, and what I'm going to do is do the lazy man thing. I'm going to copy that. Now I'm going to go over here, and right where short should be, where it should say short, I'm just going to say short. And now, as you can see, this piece, this method, creature NPC human template, is now fixed. It no longer has any issues and no more squigglies. So all we got to do now is just do this for every class in here. And once you do this, you won't have to do it again. You only got to do it the initial time when you're fixing the class, you know, because the way it was compiled in and stuff. I mean, for example, I could just show you. I can go over here into Eclipse and do the same thing. Here is this method for creature human. I can copy this where it's fine over here, but it's not over there. I just prefer IntelliJ. That's why I don't use Eclipse, because I like IntelliJ better. But if I go right here and I paste this one in over this one, as you can see, it's going to come up again. I'm missing those pieces. So it's the same code. It's just missing, you know. IntelliJ has to say, it's very specific. It's like C#. C# is a very specific language. In C++, you can get away doing certain programming habits by naming things a certain way or whatnot. But C# says, you can't do that, and it basically says, no, you got to do it this way and this way only. IntelliJ is the same way. Basically, these programs make you better coders. New languages that come out, the reason they're better and most programmers don't want to go to them is because it's telling them, you've been screwing up all these years, here, this is how you actually should be writing your code. And they don't like that. They like being able to keep doing what they learned, and they don't want to better themselves for some reason, so they don't like the new languages when they come out, because it takes something away and says, okay, this causes issues in a lot of ways that you write it, so here's the way you can write it, and that's what happens. But I'm going to cut this video for a minute and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. And basically that's what you got to do is, you know, once you go through and fix all this, it'll look like my stuff over here, which I've done fix mine, and I'm going to go through now and explain this to you. So I'm going to close this one that I was showing you on, and every time you create a new class and save it, it'll put it up here. Well, when you create a class, it'll put it here, but when you compile it, to recompile them, all is once you have it up, all you do is when you're on that tab, just right click, click recompile, and it rebuilds that to whatever changes you made, and then it stores it here in an out folder and whatever place it needed to be put. As you can see, we go down here, when we look in here in the common.jar, it does the same thing up here. Basically builds it exactly, and then puts it in its own folder where it should go. And that's why I say copy the package and then put the class name and all, and just better coding. Anyway, we go in here and we're going to find the skelly. If I do it right, get my search window open. Okay, so we got the skeleton template, and basically what your problem was right here is their age, and that basically what was happening is the mod that you did, the age was set higher than the default. The default is 2. That's why I got this comment in the back up here to let me know what the original code was whenever I change it. Like I got my notes. My notes here tells me the armor type, so if I want to change it, I don't have to look it up. It's already sitting here on the screen. I can just change the numbers I feel fit. But stuff like this, I've added this information in, so I actually put this in here. And basically this was it, the age. That's what was causing it. If I set this to 2 and spawn a mob, it instantly dies. And that's because whenever the mob spawns or you summon it, it's not a pet. You're not summoning it as a pet, so it will not stay on the map. If you're on the test server and you summon with the sorcery skill, it is then considered a pet. So therefore it doesn't take the 2 and it stays on the map longer. But when you just summon it and it's not as a pet, it instantly dies because its max age is not high enough that it just don't instantly die. So I put mine at 35. That's why mine don't die. They have an age of limit of 35 and then they die. They age out over that. And that's what your problem was, is, you know, you're set to 2 on default in here, and without the mod that you were using at that time, which was changing this piece of information on the skellies, you can't summon them without them just dying. But you can come in here and you can go through that whole file fixing all this. As you can see, I've got shorts and bite and short, and I wrote that in, put that where it belonged, and bite at the end. So all my code is, you know, this whole file is just running right, and I have no problems with it once that's done. And then all I got to do from here on out is come in and do my changes. As you can see here, I added template and set den material. I set it to be subterranean so it can spawn in under caves. I don't think it'll spawn under caves. I think I'll actually have to go change that information elsewhere for them to actually do that. Then I got set max percent. This is how many I want max on the map, and as it's spitting them out on the dens, it won't go over this percentage. So the max will be 0.03%, which is about I'm pretty sure it's 100 per, so that would be 300 skeletons max on my map. I'm pretty sure it's per 0.01 is 100 mobs, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember for sure, but I think it's 100 mobs per 0.01. So this would make it 300 mobs on the map total. But then you can change all types of information in here that you need. Over 1 minute. Alright, I'm back. You can change all types of information, and you can add new types. For example, if you go down here and you can open up your creature types, this right here, of course you don't need to look at those right there. That's, wait a minute, you don't need to look at these, the mod ones. This is, you know, champion, scare, disease, and all. These are the ones down here below that are in that field, that's in this type field right here. This little comment back here is what I've added to what was already in here, which it looks like in skeletons only 13, 7, and 24 were the only creature types that were in here, and I've added all these to the end right here. These are what I've added for the creature to also have to it. And basically too is I told it to move random. It had 13, 7, 24. I added 6, 8, and 12, and 18. So 6, I told it to be aggressive to humans, be global, it can swim, it has regenerating, so it regenerates as it's getting killed and hit. And let's see, what was the other one? 45, which I know what that one is. That one's it can open doors, so if your doors don't have a padlock, it can open them and walk in and bash you in the head. So basically, you know, you can go through the types and add different types to it to make the creature do specific things. Then you can change their damage ratios here. You can change their move rate, their speed, their max hunt distance. You can even change right here, like me, I up every mob on my map can see further than the default. The default's normally around 4 and below, sometimes 5. Most mobs don't go over 5 except for uniques. They allow them to see 20 tiles away. That's why a unique 20 tiles away will start running after you. But most regular standard mobs, aggressive mobs, and regular unaggressive mobs, they see about 5 tiles. So I like mine to see a little bit further, 8 tiles away, because if I can see 15 to 20 tiles away myself, why can't the mob see a little bit further too, so I allow them to see half the distance I can actually see. And that basically, when they, if you're within 8 tiles of them, they and standing in front of their view, they'll see you and come and attack you if they're aggressive mob. The alignment, that basically has got to deal with guard towers. I think it's more the Spirit Templars than it is guard towers. It might be tied to guard towers too. I've not really played with the alignment much, so, or looked up the alignment, but I know it's got something to do with whether or not you're, if they're under a certain degree of alignment, guards might attack them, and Spirit Templars would attack them on sight without you having to tell them to attack them. Let's see. Set age, of course, you know, a lot of mobs I've doubled their age so they live longer. You can, if you wanted to make you can use another statement. You can either use max percent of creature, or you can do another statement, which is, let me see here, do temp dot set max population of creatures. Now what this one does is that it asks for a specific integer, stating basically you can use max percent or max population. And max population means no more than this number of mobs can spawn. So if I say no more than 150, and I comment this one out and I leave max population, no more than 150 mobs will spawn of that mob. It should cap out at 150 and not go above, period. But that's just another thing. There's other commands you can add to the mobs. You just have to go through them. And you can just look at them simply by going temp dot, and then you can just go in here. You can set whatever you want, or you can get information, but mainly in here you will be wanting to set information or do certain things. Like I can say set, and let's see, what else can I set on it? I can set its color and give it an integer color. I can set it as a climber. I can let's see here. I can set it on fire. Set it as a rift creature, a summoner. You know, there's many things you can do. I can either set it as a vehicle, as true or false. So I could actually make a skeleton a vehicle. But of course the skeleton don't have a thing in its models that you can write it, so you wouldn't be able to write it, but you can still call it a vehicle. Anyway, you know, that's just some of the things you can do. If you have any questions, just let me know. But this was right here, this was it, is set max age. So if you go in here and you create yourself this file, and you know, fix it up like it's supposed to, and just change this information right here from 2 to 35, 45, something like that. Do that for that and the zombies, because the zombies default at 2 as well. And then they're going to stay alive as you summon them on your actual map without having to be on a test server, or having to be, you know, you don't have to be on those type of servers to summon it. You can just do it live on your regular PvE maps. You just got to change this, and when you do, I mean, that's the only thing you really got to change. If you don't want to change anything else, you can change that, and then you can just go and recompile. Then you can just go, and it's as simple as once it's recompiled, you can just you can go in here and you can say open up that server jar with WinZip or WinRAR or whatever, and you just go to where that file is going to be, and it's going to be the creatures, because that's where you know, that's where we grabbed it from, was from the creatures file. And then we just go to where our output is of, you know, this project, and we look for the server, and we go to our creatures folder, and right there, creature template creator, we just done it at 12:05. It's 12:05 right now, and we just drag that in, and then we crank up our server, and it's live right on the server. Make sure you test everything before you run it live. Run it on a test server. One thing you can do, if you use FTP, you can download your entire server folder to your PC, and the only thing you basically got to do when you do that information is, let me go over here and let me open this back up. I shouldn't have closed it. Okay, for example, this right here, ping perfect, that's what my files are called, my server files called, and in here I got these. You're going to see several directories. You'll see with ping perfect I get 3 directories. I get game directory, I get current directory, and I get some other type of directory, but the only one you need is game directory. So you want to delete the other current directory and that, and you only need game directory in here. If you have one of the other ones, it won't crank up. So basically delete the other 2 directories, and then you can log this in by changing the information back to Steam information in the launcher, and with your IP and stuff, and you can change all the information back, and from that point right there you can crank it up and test everything on what would be your live server, but just run on your end. That's what I normally do before I put anything I make. I'll normally test it out like that, then I'll throw it live on the main server. I just want to make sure it's going to work properly with everything that's already on the server, rather than do it on a test server that don't have all that stuff on it. So then I can read the logs with expert log viewer and see if there's any stuff going wrong in the background. But yeah, this is basically it. You just go through here and you do stuff like this. Create your files, then drag your files over, and it's just like that simple. I mean, these are all the files that I've altered so far, all these, and it's a lot easier. And then whenever, for example, whenever let's just say a new patch come in, and they just did a new patch and added some new stuff, and I need to make sure my mod is up to date with theirs. So basically I open up each one of my files one at a time, and I just go down the list. I just open these up one at a time, and I go down the list, and I go over here to view. And while I got this one selected, I go to view, and I say I want to compare, or you can use the shortcut Control D, and I say compare with, and then I go in here and I go to the new server.jar, and I would go to com and then server, and I would go to creatures, and I would go to creature template creator class, and I would compare it. And when it compares, what it does is it brings the screen up here, and it shows this right here. It says read only. That means this is the one we're looking at. This is our file on the left, and it says this information right here is different than this over here. And if I want to, I can just click this left button, and it throws that information over here. It's just that simple. Then I can scroll down. Each one of these blue lines states that something has been changed, each one of them. So if I click the next blue line and go down here, as you can see, they spelled anaconda wrong. They spelled it as an anaconda, and over here, as you can see, I spelled it as anaconda. So even though theirs is still spelt wrong, see how it's highlighted in blue right here up above what I just highlighted? It's highlighted in blue right here. This is highlighted in blue, and it's stating that this is different than my file. And that's how you can tell, and you can compare your stuff with their stuff and see if you need to change it. So like over here, I go in here and I see what I've changed and what they've changed, and I'll notice, like, okay, for example here, my stuff is easy to read, so let me just go in here for a minute here. What am I looking for? Oh, yep. Use soft wrap. So let me use soft wrap here for a minute. Okay, there we go. Now it's easier to see. I don't have to do a bunch of scrolling because everything's going to be on the screen. So now I can just sit here and compare. As you can see, their original was 5, and I changed mine to 8. So we know that's different. And we want ours to stay at 8, so we would never change that. And new integer array at 439. Well, we know that I have created, on mine, I created a new integer array up here so it didn't spread this out, and this is just the way I like mine to be. And then I called it items butchered and put it in here. But as you can see, 439, 439, and then we have all the rest of my stuff right here that I've added. in that same array. It's just I like mine being like this, and I don't actually put the array down here because you can see their array is down here, and if they have a bunch of items in that array to be butchered, then it just spreads the code out further right here going to the back of the screen. And I just like mine like this. So basically we can go through, and it's like right here we got armor type 2, and over here we can see that for the Hell Scorpion I changed the armor type from being studded to being chained, so I made the Hell Scorpion tougher. So basically he is like wearing chain armor rather than studded armor, and I want to keep that the way it is. And then over here it's like they got set glowing false on the Hell Scorpion, but I put set glowing true because I want it to glow. You know, it's just basically going through here and checking all this information, and once I'm done, if they added new code, then I can add it. If they needed, for example, like if they added a bunch of new types, that's why you'll see right here at the end of this line I put all the new stuff. I leave all the stuff at the front, all this stuff right here at the front, I leave it original like it is over here. But then I sit down here in the back, and you can see where it's grayed out, showing that this is stuff that don't exist over there. That's what gray normally means. It means it don't, it's something new. And basically I've added this, and I even put my little string reminder back here of what I did add, but I just put it at the end of the array, all the stuff I added. So then when I look here, I can compare and see if a new number shows up. If a new number shows up in between 39 and 7 over here, then I'll know that they've done it. And if it's one I've already added, then I know, well, I ain't got to worry about that because I already had it added. Or if they add new types, I can just go over here to mine real quick. You don't want to hit this. If you hit this little accept button, it takes all this and highlight and turns it into this. It just basically slides this information over and erases anything you've done. So I don't like to do that unless it's something I definitely want it to erase. So I just go through and look and see, especially stuff like this where I got all these changes. If I slide this over, then I got to start putting bytes and shorts back in all this. So I just look and see what's actually been changed. So, you know, that's basically what you can do. You can see what's been changed and deal with it that way. But once you go through the entire thing and you're done, whatever you change on this screen gets changed on your main screen. So anything I change over here will change on the other screen. And then when you're done, all you got to do is just close this screen out, and this will be ready, and then all you got to do is just compile it back. And what did I change? Something. Did I do something on that screen over there? Let me undo whatever it is I done. There we go. And my error should go away here in a second. There it goes. Something I done over there. But anyway, then once it's done, just recompile it back up so it'll make a new one and you're out. And then you just go to the next one. Then you would just open up the next one, and then you would go over here and you would say view, and you would say compare with, and that's pretty much how you get your stuff done. And as long as you're modding it, you don't have to worry about a coder or whatnot trying to keep his mods up, because that's what's going to happen. I mean, this is why I do my own stuff and I don't deal with mod loaders. I dealt with this with Minecraft with mods. People would make a mod, then later on they would stop working the mod, then someone else would try to pick up the mod, but then that person couldn't do the mod, then mods were lost, and you know, it's like stuff like that. So, you know, you have to ask yourself, how long is Badu going to sit down and keep his mods up before he gets burnt out and decides to go on because he ain't getting paid to do it? Same thing with the guy making mod loader. How long is he going to sit down with his little bit of fame with mod loader, and how long is he going to, you know, how long is Ego going to sit down and keep his mod up? That's the question you have to ask yourself. You know, are you wanting to start a server and then eventually the mods are going to die? You know, who's going to pick them up? Are you going to pick them up? If you don't know enough about coding, it's good just to go in, start learning about this stuff, build it yourself, and that way you know when the server updates and new stuff gets put in, you can implement the stuff over just like I was just showing you and keep your mod stuff in, and when you get done, then you can update your server and you'll know that every mod that was on your server is still on your server, and you don't have to wait on nobody else. You can do it yourself. So it just depends on how long you plan on running your server, whether you want to sit down and wait on these people to run their server. Now, one other thing I want to show you is I'm going to go over here to tiles class and just run down here to the bottom for a minute and show you this here. Now, these are some things. This is why I told you Eclipse is good. You might want Eclipse for this. This class right here, I've had to change this information. When I added in charcoal walls to spawn on the map, I had to fix this arrow that came in here. Now, I didn't have to add nothing to this code right here that's selected, you know, this whole switch statement going down, but the way IntelliJ inputs it in, there's no Pyrocon, so it comes up with a weird string, and I'll show that to you here right now. So let me go over here to Common Mesh, and let's open up the tiles. And let's actually, okay, this is where we're at, the process flags. So see right here, this is what IntelliJ does. And this is not going to compile. This will come up red squiggly arrows, and each one of these case statements are going to come up with a red squiggly arrow. So you have to fix this. This can't be compiled with this line of squig in here. So basically what it's actually calling for is it's calling for flag, right here, it's calling for flag to be passed into the switch, and then it's calling for each piece of case statement, which is the user information, but the way it compiled it here, it put this bunch of crap in, and it made everything case 1, case 2. So you can actually go over here, and let me pull up Eclipse. You can go to Eclipse, and you can pull it up with Pyrocon. When you first pull it up, it's not going to come in with Pyrocon. It's going to come in, let me go over here, close the server jar out. Where's the common jar? And share, no, it's mesh. So we're going to mesh and tiles. So basically what happens here is when you first pull it in, it's going to do this right here, and it's going to probably do with like thin flour, whatever. As you can see, there it goes. When it's decompiled with thin flour, you get the same thing even in Eclipse. See, it's where it's saying case 1, case 2. But what you can do is you can right click on it and say open class with Pyrocon or Procon, or however you pronounce that name, and it actually will wait for it to do that. It actually pulls it up like it would be, and it shows you the switch has flag passed in, which is flag right here, and then it shows you user data, align, tree, and bush. And what flag right here is trying to capture, that I got highlighted, and let me go over here because I hate those colors. What it's actually trying to pass in, flag is trying to pass in this down here at the very bottom of the screen. It's trying to pass in this enum, user data, aligned, tree, bush, normal. It's just going down the line, and these are the switch statements that it's calling for, is these right here. And that's what needs to be passed in up here. As you can see, each case statement, user data, allowed, tree, bush, normal, Miceland, it went in order as that enum down there at the bottom, and it was calling for each case statement in order. And basically what happens here is when it calls in the flag, then it says if user data equals true, then break out of this switch statement and go leave this method. Otherwise, it keeps going through here till it finds the, if it's looking for road, it cycles through this till it hits road, and once it hits road, it says this is this dot is road equals true, and it says, and that's what it's looking for, and it says yes. Then it'll break out of this switch statement here, this loop, and then it'll jump back and it'll pass this, and then it'll go down here and it'll start reading the rest of the code on the page. So yeah, it's trying to read this flag right here, this enum. But as you can see, this is what it ends up doing, and you just basically have to fix this. And you can do that simply by going into Eclipse and using the same thing to open it up with Eclipse, and then see. Anytime you see this crap right here with those question marks, that's what you're going to have to do. Anytime you see this crap right here with question marks, you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to find it. Normally, it's this right here. It's just this one word. it'll always say the word, and then it'll say dot, and it'll say some crap behind it, right? It'll always do this. It'll say some crap behind it. It'll have a method behind it. But this ain't, you don't need none of that. All you really need is that before the dot. Okay? If that'll help you out any. But if you have any questions, just let me know. Good God, did I cut everything off? There we go. Bring that back. But yeah, basically your problem was Creature Template Creator. That's what you was having a problem with. It was the skeletal. You just need to go in here and change their max age. Give it a higher number. You don't want it too high unless you want them to spend like a horse has like 200, I think, and I doubled mine to 400, so they'll be venerable for a long time. They'll be on the map a while before they die. I doubled the age of my animals, their lifespan, so that's basically what it's doing. So have any questions, just let me know.